local newspaper in Marion County says it had its computers, cell phones, and reporting materials seized by local law enforcement. Joe Baker explains why and talked with the owner of the Marion County Record, the Kansas Press Association, and an attorney about what could come next.
The step that was taken was the most extreme step that law enforcement can take.
It's unprecedented in Kansas. It is shocking that an unannounced raid would happen on a newspaper.
On Friday, a local newspaper, the Marion County Record, says the Marion Police Department and Sheriff's Office seized its computers, cell phones, and reporting materials. Owner of the paper, Joan Meyer, says law enforcement also came to his home and took other property. Why did law enforcement seize this property? Meyer says he believes law enforcement was motivated by a confidential source leaking documents about a local woman to the newspaper. He says she complained to city council members that the newspaper illegally obtained sensitive information. Law enforcement then obtained a search warrant signed by Marion County Judge Laura Vire that alleges identity theft and unlawful use of a computer. Meyer believes police in Marion are trying to suppress not only his newspaper, but the community as a whole.
We have heard nationwide from people regarding this story. Almost nothing from local people. I got called from one local person who said, I saw this thing on Facebook, you ought to see it. I said, well, could you send it to me? I'm not sure, they may come and seize my computer. That's the kind of chilling effect that you worry about in this.
Journalists are the watchdogs, right, of government, and we like to think that we hold government to account, and not just for ourselves, but also for our communities.
Emily Bradberry, executive director of the Kansas Press Association, and attorney Max Couch say journalists are protected by federal law against searches and seizures, and it usually takes a subpoena to obtain documents. The newspaper requested the original affidavit.
Affidavit on which the search warrant was based has not been disclosed. There's a Kansas law that's been in effect since 2014 that presumes disclosure of such affidavits once those warrants are executed. The journalists who were in town yesterday tried to get a copy of that affidavit from the clerk, which is by law the custodian of that record after it's been executed, and the clerk did not have a copy of that.
Bradberry says the fight isn't over for the Marion County Record.
There is a group of people standing beside the Marion County Record. They're not going to be alone in this. This isn't over. And like I said, we're going to try to hold those responsible for this action accountable and make sure that people know that this is not something that will be tolerated.
In Marion, Joe Baker, 12 News.
In news tonight, Meyer says his 98-year-old mother, Joan, who lived with him in the home that materials were seized from, died today, just one day after that seizure. She says she was also a co-owner of the paper. We asked to interview the Marion County Sheriff's Office and the Marion County Police Department, but did not receive a response back. But in a Facebook post today, the Marion County Police Department's Chief Gideon Cody responded to requests for comment. He says, quote, as much as I would like to give everyone details on a criminal investigation, I cannot. He goes on to say, I believe when the rest of the story is available to the public, the judicial system that is being questioned will be vindicated. He goes on to cite the Federal Privacy Protection Act protecting journalists from most searches and seizures, and agrees that in most circumstances, investigators must obtain a subpoena to get materials from journalists. But he goes on to say, quote, except in circumstances, including when there is reason to believe the journalist is taking part in the underlying wrongdoing. We will continue to follow this story and bring you the latest information on our 12 News app.